What's up, guys, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to use microphones bravely. Now, today, something else was supposed to happen. If you are watching this on the YouTube channel, you might have guessed what. This is not that podcast. We're just going to do a regular Brent and Casey Paint Bravely today, and I think that's what you get.
Yeah. So recently, Casey and I traveled to the great state of Florida, and we stayed with our buddy Danny from 3D Printed Tabletop, and we did a lot of fun stuff with Danny. We went to a little Warhammer tournament. We watched him learn how to airbrush. We worked on some 3D prints, and one day we spent a couple hours in front of the camera. All three of us, we did an episode of Paint Bravely, the podcast. The first ever episode with a guest. Danny was going to be our first guest on Paint Bravely, the podcast.
He was. But something happened. We don't know exactly what. There's some audio malfunctions. So we have a lot of video and no audio for that podcast. So it's never going to happen. But we do have a lot of other stuff to talk about.
Oh, we actually have a lot to talk about. It's kind of good that we're going to have a normal episode today because we've got a lot of dirty laundry to air out, a lot of stuff to get out in the open, a lot of stuff to discuss. But episode 39 was supposed to be the first episode where we had a guest, but I guess that honor is going to have to wait for a future date.
So are we going to skip episode 39 then? Or we're just going to call this episode 40?
39.
Okay.
Danny had his chance to be first guest in episode 39. This is the episode that comes after episode 38. This is episode 39. It is what it is.
I'm just thinking it'd be funny. Eventually, episode 39 comes out after episode 100, and it's just Danny. Like, it would get lost over time, and somebody would just nobody would know what we were talking about at that point. So
yeah, let's file this away as a little Easter egg that we can pull out someday.
That's a good idea.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
So since Danny isn't with us, what have you been up to in the last few weeks, Brent?
Well, I mean, recently I can't talk about everything. I've been working on an episode of Goobertown Roulette, so I can't talk about that. I don't know. I've been doing a lot of model assembly around here. It soothes me, makes me feel like I'm making progress on things.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to jump into the talking about our experience at the Florida U.S. Open Warhammer tournament there, Casey? Why don't we just start in on that?
Yeah, okay, we'll just start in on that. So
because
obviously
we are missing our brilliant discussion that we recorded on site. Yeah.
That's true. And well, first of all, Florida is really wet. It is a wet place, and I don't think I've ever been in a place that was that humid before. So, like, coming out and going over to the convention when we did, it kind of hit me pretty hard. And then when we got inside,
I've been to Florida a couple of times before, but it's always like Northerners going to Florida for winter break sort of thing. Winter or maybe early spring break.
Right.
So I've been to Disney World a couple of times in February, which is very nice, very pleasant.
Okay, I'll have to keep that in mind.
Right. So the geniuses over there at GWHQ decided to set up 3 Warhammer tournaments in the United States during summer, during the resurgence of COVID, and the locations they chose were Orlando, Florida. And I'm blanking a little bit, but I'm pretty sure it was Louisiana.
Yeah, somewhere in Louisiana.
COVID and hurricane season.
And Texas, Houston,
Texas?
I think it was Houston. Or are they going to LA too? I don't know.
It was 3 locations, and I'm pretty sure it was Florida, Louisiana, Texas during like resurgence of COVID. So I don't know.
Yeah.
If anyone at GW is listening, there's lots of great northern states in the United States.
Less hot.
Right.
Yeah.
Like places that are statistically more likely to be pleasant outdoors and more likely to not give you a plague. But, hey,
that being said, though, like there was another convention going on at the same time as the Florida one. And I don't remember what it's called, but it's mostly about, was it like cosplaying? Is like the big thing for that one?
Danny was telling us everything we needed to know about My Hero Academia in order to understand the people walking past us on our way to the parking lot.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I didn't understand a thing I saw.
It was like WorldCon or something. I want to say it was right. WorldCon.
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, but there were a lot of people like dressed up in some pretty heavy clothing. Like, it seemed miserable.
Right.
Like, yeah. Enough about that, though. So we got into the place, and it was nice. It was, it was big. Like, the convention area was pretty large. I think it was 250 people total were playing in the tournament. So not a ton of people. It was actually a pretty small tournament. And unfortunately, the GW presence, like the store that they were going to have and all this other stuff, was very small. It was like a quarter sized of my local Warhammer store, which is already a quarter sized of most hobby shops.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that didn't really surprise me. Like, it wasn't supposed to be a full-on convention. It was supposed to be like an exciting tournament venue, but I don't know if it was really supposed to be anything more than a GW store and a tournament.
I mean, I don't know. The way that I read it, or the way that they hyped it, I guess, made it seem like, oh, we're going to have a bunch of stuff you can't get. We're going to have a big old whole shopping center. You can come to, even if you don't participate in the tournament, it's worth coming. Literally, like they said that. Like, it's worth coming to just shop.
That's true.
So, I don't know. I feel like they played it up a little bit. And I was a little disappointed. That's all.
Were you disappointed in anything in particular, Casey?
Well, I mean, we did fly, and in my case, almost 3,000 miles to pick up the convention exclusive that they ran out of on the first day. In the first
so this was
10 minutes.
Age of Sigmar, Slaves to Darkness, Holga Clefthorn, I think.
Helga Clovenhorn?
Man, I've got so many permutations of that name running through my mind. It's either Helga or Holga, and then Clefthorn, Clefthoof, Clovenhorn, Clovenhoof.
I've literally said it all. I've said them all, too. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, it's a pretty cool, like, Warriors of Chaos model. Female, she's got a crazy one big horn and one cloven horn sticking out of her head, and she's got this flowing ginger hair is the way it's depicted on the box art. Very nice model. Yeah.
It's a good model. It was very nice. And they basically brought, like, I don't know, a box of them. And we're out within the first, I guess, hour that they opened.
Yeah, something like that. So, yeah, these events, for this year, Games Workshop has a couple of exclusive models that they're selling at their events. So one of them is a Necron Lord, or I don't know anything about Necrons. That it all Greek to me. It all blends together. They're just
it's
Necrons.
More Egyptian, but whatever. It's like Lord Imhotep or something.
Yeah. As far as I know, that's correct, Casey.
It's like Imhotep, or it's very not the Mummy.
Right. But anyway, they had just piles and piles of a $35 Necron, and then there was just blank space on their shelves where a different model was supposed to be. So we showed up there on Saturday of a weekend tournament, and we were unable to buy Holga Clefthoof. We were unable to do that, and man, I gotta say, like, my interaction with the GW employees there was disappointing, because go up and say, hey, you got any more of the Helga? They're like, what?
Yeah, right.
Helga, help me out here. Like, you know what name I'm trying to say. Helga, Cleft, Cloven, What are you talking about? The exclusive model, the Chaos one, like,
yeah.
Oh, no, we don't have any of that.
Like, why would we? They were very, like, surprised that we were surprised.
Why are you even asking about that? Like, do you want this Necron? Like, no, I mean, I see the Necron. Like, the Necron is very obvious. I don't want the Necron.
There were like 50 boxes of that Necron on the shelf, and then right below it was the empty shelf with no cloven horns on there.
Right. And, like, no, we came here, like, the original conception for this trip, I mean, obviously we went for a lot of reasons to Florida. We're gonna talk about our trip. We went for a lot of reasons. But like the nucleating event that caused us to even talk about this possibility was like, that's a pretty cool exclusive model. Wouldn't it be crazy if we went to Orlando to get that model? We actually know people in Florida.
Exactly.
I bet we could make like a pretty sweet weekend out of this. The precipitating event that caused us to go to Florida was this stupid model.
Yeah, we both...
we get there and they're just like, what? What are you talking about? Oh, you want that? The thing that we immediately sold out of because so many people wanted it? And then the next thing they said was, oh, no, we don't have any more of that. But we do have some Forge World stuff. Do you want to see the Forge World stuff we have here?
He did, didn't he?
No, like they just seamlessly like transitioned into upsell for like crappy resin models. Like
for even worse, right? Like I'm here for a $25 model and you're trying to get me to buy $100 in garbage resin? Get out of here, man. Like come on.
I didn't fly to Florida for the Horus Heresy. I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Oh, yeah, that's
so anyway, that was the sour moment, which
I have a redeeming moment for
voices
GW,
in the gaming and Warhammer and mini painting community. Yeah, we try to point out when companies are doing well and point out when companies are sticking a thumb in our eye for whatever reason. So yeah.
I mean, even if it's like. Whatever, anybody coming in off the street, coming in and being like, wow, like this is a really cool model. Like you said you were going to have some here. Oh, we don't. Like, what do you mean? That's why I came. Like somebody left a comment on the video that I made, actually about us going to Florida. I actually made a video about it. So if you haven't seen that, it's good intercut. Maybe I'll just throw that video in there for the podcast too. You kind of get the whole sense of everything.
Yeah, pad it out a little bit.
Yeah. But somebody left a comment on that. They're like, well, that's like if somebody was like, hey, you come to my thing, I got pizza. I got pizza for everybody. It's going to be awesome. And you get there and you're like, oh, man, I'm here for the pizza. Can I have some pizza? And they're like, no, man. Like, that's gone.
No.
Like, no. What do you mean? You said there'd be pizza for everybody. No. Not you, man.
What?
Not you. Yeah. What are you talking about? Do you want this Chicago deep dish for $30 more? You want this calzone? Like, no.
No, that's a poor comparison because calzones and Chicago deep dish are both awesome and arguably better than
I don't know about
like
that.
A really nice change of pace. Yeah. We don't need to stress this metaphor any further.
No.
But
you get the picture, right? You get what I'm saying. So, yeah, that's it. I thought that was a good comparison. They didn't say the calzone thing. I put that in there, but they just said the pizza thing. Yeah.
And you know what? It happened again. It happened again where I'm in a essentially Warhammer store. None of the Warhammer employees recognize me. Multiple customers in that store in front of them recognize me.
In fact, there were
both
a couple of people,
both of us, not just me, but both of us. Yeah.
But there were a couple of people who recognized us by our voices alone, not having seen our faces yet.
Right.
So,
in fact,
thanks, GW.
They recognized us by our voices while we were standing in front of the empty shelf of Helga Clefthoof and complaining about the fact that there were no Holga cloven horns on that shelf.
Yes.
And then, like, somebody came around like, oh, I thought that was you. Oh, man, I recognize you, like Casey and Brent. Hey, oh, my God. I didn't know you guys were going to be here. Wow, this is... Wait, you guys don't live around here, do you? Oh, man, this is so... It was great to meet people. It was really cool. There was like three Games Workshop employees who are standing there, just this, all of this is going right over their heads,
100%,
and they're like still trying to sell us Forge World models.
All right. Well, okay. So the sad thing is, after we got done talking to a few people, hanging out, we're still in the store, and they didn't seem very happy about it. We walked out, and then I was like, oh wait, I forgot, and I ended up buying the Necron. It is Hazmatef, the Resplendent. I did buy it. I painted it.
Did you?
I did. I didn't paint it on a video for anything. I just painted it because I'm giving it to a friend. He plays Necrons, so I was like, oh, I'll pick that up and bring it to his house. So yeah. I haven't done that yet, even though I saw him today. Actually, I meant to. I forgot. But yeah, I did buy the stupid Necron. Stupid. It's not a. It's
you didn't have to admit that on the podcast, but you're an honest guy, and I appreciate that.
I felt like I kind of had to, because part of it is like I was planning on getting it for my friend anyways, right? Like I wanted to get the other one for me, even though I don't have a Slaves to Darkness army. I was going to use it as like a Chaos Lord or something, because that's always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But whatever. We'll have to mention the other thing in a second, the actual turnaround end of the story. But I want to jump ahead. I went to a GW store in my area because I pre-ordered the Kill Team box while we were in Florida, weirdly enough.
You did?
I did.
Yeah.
Brent watched me do it. I compared prices on eBay, and I pre-ordered from GW because it was actually the same price, weirdly. But it came in. I picked it up on a Thursday, and I go in, and the manager of the store goes, "Oh, hey, what's up, Casey? Your Kill Team box is here, and how was Florida?" And I'm like, "That's right." Like,
very nice,
my man. Like, yeah. So then we had a good conversation, and I picked up some other stuff, and another dude came in, and we ended up talking about other painting stuff, and it was a good time in the GW. And honestly, like
So your local Warhammer store
is pretty legit.
The GW employee who runs that store recognizes you. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
And is awesome. And does, I almost wanted to not mention where it was, because it's like he goes above and beyond being a Games Workshop employee, I guess is the best way to put it. Like he's called other stores to look for stock. Like non-GW stores, out of just because somebody's looking for something. In fact, I was overhearing him talking to another customer before I was about to leave. The customer was asking about, what is it? What's the parade thing? You know what I'm talking about? Armies on Parade. He was talking about that, and he was talking about 3D printing, and he was talking about recasts. And if they were allowed. And he basically was like, well, look, no, obviously GW is not going to allow you to put those in any official capacity online or whatever. He said, but in my store, you bring in something, you want to play a game, you want to do whatever, I don't give a shit. And I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, that's real good.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, good. GW's they're not all terrible.
No, I mean, the frustrating thing is that there's a lot of great people who work there, but the whole package sometimes just turns out real nasty. So that's all right. So I actually did want to talk about the experience of walking around the tournament. Mm-hmm. So again, the setting here is this is a really big convention hall, or a pretty good, banquet hall kind of setup. And they've got, there must be 100, 150 tables, something like that.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Split between Warhammer 40K and Age of Sigmar. I don't think there were any other games going on. And so
no, that's it, yeah.
I'd say the 40K was 4, 5, 6 times larger than the Age of Sigmar. There were a lot of 40K armies there, a lot of players there, and relatively few Age of Sigmar players. But
yeah.
The whole setup, I'll say the overall experience was more positive than I thought it would be. So I don't know if I've ever really spent time at a big tournament. And so kind of some of the news that trickles down is like just the drama at the top tables of like people being real dinks about measurement and, oh, you didn't declare that you were going to use this warlord ability, and like the news stories that kind of percolate out of some tournaments just make it sound miserable. Like, oh, you didn't declare that you were using this special ability before the charge. You can't say it after you did the charge. I win the game now. And just monstrous stuff that sounds like, how is like anybody having fun? Why is this anyone's main use of their free time? Like this sounds awful.
There are those people that like, I mean, like a big part of Warhammer is like knowing the minutia, right? All the very specific rules and exploiting those to gain some advantage. So like a very small portion of our population is very into that type of thing specifically, that number crunchy, get in there and maximize. So like I get it, but at the same time, like that doesn't help make a very fun environment or game. Like it's not a fun game at that point.
And so, and like this was in my mind in terms of thinking what a big official tournament looks like. Like that was kind of sitting at the back of the mind. And I'm pretty sure that was wrong, essentially. So at the tournament, there were, I think, 2 tables set up with, cameras all over the place and like a caster desk, so that they could stream the top tables for the tournament and make a little show out of it. But the rest of the tables were just a couple of nerds at each table having fun. And, as we were walking around, a lot of smiles. Okay, so we should say 70% masks and 30% smiles is what we saw.
Yeah, that's it. That's fair. Yeah.
Which, again, in Orlando in August of 2021, I think I would have preferred a little bit stronger mask policy from the tournament organizers, but it is what it is. I will say that Casey and I were both vaccinated. We both wore masks the whole time. I know when I got back, I went and got a COVID test, and I'm negative. So, because if I got COVID at this thing, you bet I would have made a video about going to Warhammer tournament, getting COVID, and not getting hold of left hoof. You better believe that would have been a video. Yeah,
man, that would have been a doozy of a video too.
Man.
It's like
sometimes on this podcast you see me get a little bit excited, but every once in a while I tap into true anger. And, so luckily I didn't get COVID. Everything's fine. We'll save that. We'll save that experience for some other day.
Well, let's hope not.
But yeah, walking around the tournament, people were having fun. They were playing the game. There were a lot of really well-painted armies. Almost everyone brought a fully painted army that was cohesive and looked really nice.
Yeah.
And,
of course I can't remember his name now. The gentleman that we met that had the gaming group. It's Jacob? Mm-hmm. It's Jacob, right? That sounds right. Yeah. He had a really nice orc army, and then a really nice like big orc diorama that we were looking at for quite a while, and I think all of us took video or pictures of it. It turns out he won Best Painted.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of armies on parade, there was I just saw that one, I think, but it was a 2-foot by 2-foot board with a lot of like height to it. It was kind of on a mountainside of some sort of an
orc mine or something.
Or something.
It looked like that, yeah.
And tons of orky scrap, tons of rusty old buggies and bikes and stuff. It was real nice. But,
yeah.
And that is one of the draws or the appeals to something like this is seeing all the different armies, seeing what people are doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was seeing some new style Dark Eldar. I was seeing some old style Dark Eldar. We each get pulled to different things, you and I, Casey.
It's
but
very true.
There was some
very
good
true.
stuff there.
Yeah. I mean, there were definitely a lot of. I do wish we kind of had hung out a little more, just looking at the individual armies. But we also got there, and they were like right in the middle of rounds. Like, then we got that like 15-minute break in between a round and talked to a bunch of people. And then it was like, all right, everybody's got to be back at their tables and play. So, yeah.
Yeah, we weren't too obtrusive. We were just kind of walking around and peering around, and occasionally someone would recognize us and say hi, and we'd hang out for a little bit and see how they were doing, which was fun. And
that was definitely the most rewarding part, is just getting to like talk to people about why they like the hobby. It's like that just comes out so naturally. It's like, oh, it's you. Oh, man, like, check this out. This is really cool. And it's like all this stuff. It's like, yeah, this is great. It's exactly where I want to be. Like, I want to be with my people talking about cool paint jobs. It's just a good place to be. And like you said, it's like, you know, you maybe had this in the back of your mind of like, there would be more like neck beards and stuff going on that wasn't so good. But
I didn't hear the phrase "well, actually" at all. Like,
no. Well, actually, there was
triumphant gloating. Yeah,
exactly. There wasn't any of that going on. There was just everybody's having a good time. And honestly, that's been my experience, which is weird. Like, I don't know that I've ever had the other experience.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay. Yeah. And so. Again, I haven't been to any big tournaments like this before, and so I did have some preconceived notions in my head, but when I was walking around, the overall vibe seemed way more positive and fun than I was expecting it to be.
Definitely. So you got to come to LVO.
It also is like a really comfortable room. Partially, I hadn't thought about this before, but just the nature of a Warhammer game. The boards are stupid big, 6 feet by 4 feet or whatever. And so that's like adding a lot of space between people, so it's not claustrophobic or anything. There's a lot of really good spacing built into an event like this. You cannot have an event like this without there being a decent amount of, square footage per person in a really big room like that. So.
And I mean, it was a big room, tall ceilings. Yeah. So it wasn't like overly loud either. Like the sound dampening just kind of ate most of that up. It was nice. The lighting was nice too. It wasn't like too bright and sterile. It was like kind of warm. It's good.
And the last thing is the terrain provided by Games Workshop for the boards was actually quite nice. Mm-hmm. And so it was all painted like GW plastic terrain. Well, they had a pretty cool thing, which I hadn't seen before. Maybe it's standard, but for each piece of terrain, it was on like a ruined building, for example, would be on a 1 foot by 1 foot piece of plexiglass.
Oh yeah.
So there'd be like the corners of a ruined building on the corners of a 1 foot by 1 foot piece of clear plastic that was laid down. And so for gameplay, that's kind of like, okay, you are in the ruins if you're on top of the clear plastic. Mm-hmm. And so, but it still is like really easy to move the actual models on the game board through the ruins, but you still kind of have the game aid of knowing, okay, this unit is in the ruins if they're standing on top of the plastic.
That's true. I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that. That's really nice. And I imagine it made the terrain a little heavier too, a little easier or a little harder to accidentally, push around. Because, you're moving models around, you tap the terrain, it goes half an inch one way and it just screws your whole game up, Yeah.
So at least in some circles, there'd been kind of the fashion of if you're going to have a ruined building, it'd be a 1 foot by 1 foot piece of like MDF or really thin plywood or something. And there'd be, rubble and like sand glued down to it. And then plus the plastic building ruins. Which is fine, but it's harder to move models around on that. It doesn't fit with every different battle mat. But the clear plastic, it makes sense with any battle mat that you're using and easy to play on.
Yeah.
So, that's what I had to say about the tournament. I don't know. Overall, the tournament seemed more fun than I thought it might be. It makes me consider doing something like this someday if I ever decide to follow through and finish up a Warhammer army. The future is uncertain. We'll see how it goes.
Over here, where I'm at, we got LVO. That's a big tournament.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
It's much bigger than the Games Workshop tournament that we went to. Same kind of vibe. Really cool people. Everybody just there to hang out and have fun. I assume Adepticon's probably similar, but they do a doubles tournament where each person brings 1,000 points, and you team up and play a game against 2 other people. So it's 2,000 point armies, but you mash your armies together. I assume. I don't know how it fully works, but yeah, that might be a thing. It seems pretty casual.
I've heard about those. I've heard about the one at Adepticon specifically. I've heard that is a lot of fun, the doubles tournament. Someday. Even I could make 1,000 points of a single army, I think.
I think you have
eventually.
Probably multiple armies at 1,000 points.
It's possible.
Yeah. Speaking of Adepticon, we actually just booked a hotel for Adepticon.
Yes, we did.
So we are 100% probably going. I mean, we also bought plane tickets, so that helps.
Yeah, I bought plane tickets and hotel room, so pretty good chance. Yeah.
There's also a slight possibility that editor Matt will be joining. I'm not sure yet. He's still looking into it, but apparently they're going to be in Disneyland like either the same time or right before, so I don't know. We will find out.
Well, it'll be fun either way. So, that is our. I mean, I think it's safe to say that we're going. We got a hotel room. We haven't booked tickets to the actual convention yet, but we got plane tickets. We got our hotel room.
Yeah.
And we'll have to plan on having some sort of a Paint Bravely get together there at Adepticon for anyone who's gonna be there.
That would be fun. We'll just wait until like Trapped Under Plastic does something, and then we'll crash their party with a bunch of Paint Bravely people. That's what we'll do.
That sounds great. No, we'll just have our event there first.
Yeah.
Same location.
Yes. And we'll set up first. I like it.
And after.
Yeah. We're going to be going all night, all day, all night. Same place. So
wonderful.
Yeah. That's the plan. That's a good plan. I like that plan. Yeah. But I mean, it should be pretty fun. I know it's a ways away. Like tickets don't even go on sale. Like actual tickets don't go on sale till December of this year. So like we still got some time.
Yeah, remind me when it's time to do that, Casey.
I will.
So I'd like to take this moment to remind our listeners that Danny, the 3D printing DM, was supposed to be on this episode doing an interview with us, live recorded from Florida. Mm-hmm. And that's not happening because Danny messed up the microphones. And Casey and I, we are recording this episode very shortly before we're supposed to post something up on our Paint Bravely feeds.
Yeah.
And we're doing our best here, you know?
Yeah.
We're talking about gaming events. We're talking about models we like. We're talking about ways to set up terrain that looks cool. It's good for gaming.
It's a good hot tip.
We're talking about gaming conventions.
That's true. We don't do that.
Just want to remind you, we're doing our best here. We're doing our best here with what Danny gave us. So yeah.
Oh, poor Danny.
Just let's close the circle on a few things here. I did have to report for jury duty. I was not selected for any cases because they said, we actually don't have any cases this week. Sorry we made you come in here twice. You can go home now.
Seriously,
So,
that's how that went.
yeah, so I went in one day and they said, okay, come back tomorrow at this time. I went in one day, they had me fill out a questionnaire with 3 questions on it. And the questions were, have you ever been to prison? Do you know anyone who's been to prison? If one prisoner beat up another prisoner, would that affect how you, like... Well, no, because like apparently there was one of the cases that had yet to be resolved was a prisoner assaulted another prisoner. It's like, okay, everybody in this story is in prison. Does that affect how you feel about things? Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay, yeah. I mean, those are like the precursory questions they ask if they're going to have an actual trial, and they usually ask them after they've selected a jury, and then they go through jury questioning. But I mean, I suppose where you live is not the same kind of... Yeah, it's a smaller town that I'm used to.
I answered correctly on all 3 of those questions. Just to have you know, I answered correctly on all 3 of those questions.
So,
and then they're like, okay, come back in 2 weeks. Came back in 2 weeks, hung around for a couple hours, paid for parking. And then they're like, you know what? Actually, we just had one case this week, and we just settled it out of court. So even better. Go home. We won't call you for 5 years at least. And so,
that's nice. There you go. I think they told me they won't call me for at least 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Got a lot of people in this city. Like a crime. You know. Well, that's good.
I just wanted to close that out. Man, I was thinking about what if they put me on the stand and like start asking me what my employment is and how I feel about Age of Sigmar versus the old fantasy world, and like am I going to have the right answers to these questions? And
maybe someday we'll have a Paint Bravely the trial version. We'll do a mock trial, and I don't know. That sounds kind of nice actually. Like crimes against war games. We'll do a mock trial. The people versus Age of Sigmar.
I vote to acquit Danny of all charges of losing the audio for the original version of Paint Bravely the podcast, episode number 39. Because
we wouldn't have come up with that sweet idea if he hadn't. That's so true. I agree. It's not Danny's fault.
If he's sorry, then you must acquit. Yeah, that's right.
That's how that works. I was in prison. He's in prison. He punched me. I punched him back. I'm sorry. All right, cool. That seems fine.
Well, I think we're done here. Yeah.
Right.
So, that's good. What else you been up to, Casey? I told you what I did one day.
That's true. So I came back from Florida. Oh, I thought we were gonna close some story loops. We got like a real big one that we got to close before we come back home from Florida. That you ended up. I don't know if I want to say that then. Do you want to say that you ended up with a model? You went home with a model.
Oh, yeah, we can close that loop. The nice folks at Warpfire Miniatures were able to snag a Helga cleft horn for me. Mm-hmm. And they sent it on over, and hey, thanks, guys. So, Warpfire Minis have showed up on each of our channels a couple of times now. They're the ones that have the, like, cubic boxes with the big question mark on them, right?
Yes, the mystery boxes for Warhammer. I mean, okay, we're not actually recording video for this. I was looking around to see if I could grab one. There is one almost within reach of me right now. But no, this is an audio-only format, so never mind. Like we've done some stuff with them in the past. They've been super nice in sending us stuff, like just occasionally just to say thanks, which I think is awesome. Yeah. They're building a shop. I think they just finished in not Orlando, but like north of Orlando, in a city about an hour north of there. Like from what I've seen some pictures and stuff. It's a nice facility. It's like a big store with a huge gaming hall next to it, and that's going to be their thing. So yeah, they were nice enough to send you that model.
Yeah, that was awesome. And so I made an Instagram post just real quick saying I got my Helga cleft hoof, and thanks guys, thanks Warpfire Minis. And I got a lot of comments on that post. Just Warpfire Minis is a great company. I've done business with them before and I've always been happy with it. So cool.
Yeah,
cool. That was our general impression, but always good to to see that confirmed.
That's true. Like to see to see the actual reviews or people chiming in and being like, yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah, super nice guys. They also sent me, like, when I made that video about going to all my hobby shops in town and stuff, that I couldn't find any plague bearers or plague whatever, you know, and they sent me a couple boxes of them. It was super nice. So, yeah, I wanted to close that story loop, but then I thought maybe you were, like, not going to say anything until you made the video or something, but I don't know. Obviously, that's not the case.
No, and I don't think that's a dedicated video. I've got that old yellow Slaves to Darkness army I'm working on. And I think that's just going to be one model as part of some bigger video as I keep trucking along on that. But I don't know, I've been working on stuff other than straight Warhammer models recently, working on a variety of stuff recently. So
yeah,
might be a little while on that one.
I did paint a boatload of D&D models while we were in Florida.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So Danny, the 3D printing DM, where we stayed at his house, and you know, he wrote this podcast. So he is doing a Kickstarter, or he did. I think it might be done by now, but I think you can do late pledge. He had a bunch of models from the Kickstarter, and we were talking about doing a D&D game, and we were trying to teach him how to, like, use the airbrush. So we were, like, busting out a lot of his models, and I ended up, like, I think I painted, like, 5 or 6 of his, like, character models.
Yeah, so this is the Lost Adventures Volume 3.
Something like that.
Something of Adventure. The series.
I actually remember. I should remember.
Reloaded.
I don't. It's awesome, though. There's some really
Look, if Danny were
cool
on this
characters.
podcast, he could tell you exactly what the name of his Kickstarter was. Yeah. It's definitely the Lost Adventures something. And this is the third year he's done a Kickstarter for the Lost Adventures, and it's his 4th big Kickstarter overall. And so it's, a lot of, like, I think it was 150 STL files for different characters and models. And he had a lot of them printed out when we got there, and a lot of them not painted when we showed up at his house.
Yes.
So we showed him how to set up his airbrush and got to work. And I mean, he was having more fun than either of us even. Like, we were having fun, but he was really enjoying that airbrush.
Yeah.
And got everything primed and zenithal, got a few colors on there, and then you and I sat down with some paintbrushes and got to work.
Yes, we did. And we ended up painting up a bunch of stuff and then using it in a game of D&D that Danny ran for us. A nice little one-shot adventure through some of the Uncharted lands that he has come up with. By the way, it is Uncharted Lands, a book and STL collection. But the Uncharted lands are of the Lost Adventures. So you're halfway there. We're both halfway there. Yeah. And actually, I'm looking at the Kickstarter right now. It's obviously been fully backed. There's a lot of stuff opened up. There's 65 hours to go. So there will be actually some time to hop on board by the time this podcast goes up. So check it out. It's Uncharted Lands.
They also do late pledges and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, it'll be there. But, you know, you want to be cool and get in before the deadline. Don't be that late pledge kind of guy. Yeah.
And wide variety of different character models. One of the real stars of this one was a set of kobolds.
Very much
just funny little kobolds doing funny stuff. And I know you spent a lot of time painting kobolds that weekend.
I did. I only painted one. Danny painted most of them, but I spent time painting the albino kobold. Which it's funny. Actually, I did several things that I haven't done on models when we were there. So I painted an albino skin tone and tried to figure that out. And I thought it turned out pretty good. I painted my first African-American skin tone, which is a little weird to just say because, I don't know, it's just never come up before. And I did that for the first time.
Well, maybe you'll do another one someday. Yeah.
I might. Actually, it turned out pretty good, so I don't know. Yeah, it was good, and I liked the change of pace, painting the 3D printed models rather than like specifically GW plastic.
Yeah.
So it was good.
There's something kind of nice about knowing that if you screw it up, if you really, really badly screw it up, you can just press print again and get some fresh ones.
That's very true.
It takes the pressure off, and it's kind of nice in that way to be painting 3D printed models.
Yeah,
it's just it's a different feel to it. There's you can be a little more free form and just get in there and do some stuff real quick and see if this works, see if that works. And,
like what I felt like and what I was telling Danny when we were there is that a lot of the way that these have been sculpted, they're still 25 millimeter characters, which are pretty small, but the volumes, the way that they were sculpted, felt very much like the person doing it had at least some painting experience, or they had that in mind. They're like, well, okay, this is impossible. I'm not going to put this in, but like, here, let's put these volumes, like here's basic shapes for you to do things on and highlight that made sense, that made these small models still look really good. With just picking different colors and trying different textures and things like, and obviously having that kind of like freeing feeling of knowing you can just print something out. Like, I wasn't really worried about screwing it up or thinking about it too hard. I was just going at it and kind of feeling my way around the models to figure out what I should do for each part. And that, I don't know, it's good. It's a good change of pace, like I said.
Well, so we, the three of us had a couple of nights where we stayed up reasonably late, just sitting around a table and painting. And, man, when Danny's wife wasn't looking at one point, I knocked over a whole pot of Carenberg Crimson GW wash all over their kitchen table. And, man, that was a close call. It
was a close call.
Claudia was, like, doing something with the kids, like, doing some school, like, paperwork with their kids. And I was, like, just real quick, like, Casey, hand me the paper towels there. Quick, quiet, do it. Like this. Danny's family is like stressed out with like new school year starting and everything. Like, I'm just gonna real quick and quietly clean up half a pot of Carenberg Crimson that I just spilled all over their kitchen table. I think we got it.
I mean, you did. It didn't go through the protective like newspaper stuff that we put down.
It definitely did.
It
definitely did. But I was able to get it with the paper towels before too much of it seeped into the wood underneath.
That's good.
So yeah, Danny, if you're wondering where most of your GW Carenberg Crimson went, I knocked it over. I have literally never used a GW wash without knocking it over. So what'd you expect? Like,
if I had known, I wouldn't have let you have it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I was spending my time painting like a big lady troll.
Yeah.
This was my first time painting a big lady troll. And so I actually was only working on one model. You and Danny were cranking through a whole bunch of models. I was spending all my time trying to make this one look good. And we ended up having to leave before I was really satisfied with it. But it looks okay. It's colorful.
It looked
good,
right. Man. Like, it really did. It looked good.
It was really getting there. It was really getting there.
Yeah.
And if we go back to visit Danny again, I'll be like, hey, Danny.
Maybe you'll finish it.
Hand me that big lady troll if we've got unfinished business here.
That's a good call, actually. I foresee some Florida trips in the future, for sure. It was a good time hanging out with Danny. Yeah. Like, better than I kind of anticipated, I suppose. Like, not that I thought it was going to be a bad time, but, you never know.
We did a variety of things. I think we got a lot of content recorded. Some of the content we recorded did not record as completely as we thought it did.
That's true.
But, hey, we're talking about it. Maybe we'll use this audio that we're recording right now, right before episode 39 goes up, and we'll use the video from the original episode 39, so you can get an idea of what was lost forever.
Right, all the
fault of
smug looks,
our own
laughs. Yeah.
We're just having fun here. Good, clean fun.
clean
Good,
fun. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what else? What else is going on in the world of hobby? I painted up some kill teams.
Ooh, tell us about that.
Yeah. So the new kill team coming out, like I said, I pre-ordered it while we were in Florida. I just got it as we're recording. I got it a couple days ago and then played a game today with a friend and actually had some good fun with it. It wasn't too bad. A little bit confusing at first. I got some gripes with the measurement system because they changed it, but in the dumbest fashion possible. So we'll get there. But yeah, so a couple weeks, like a week before I got on an airplane to go to Florida, Lachlan from Zorp contacted me and was like, hey man, you want to like do this kill team video? Like you just got to send out a kill team over to Australia and we're going to play some games and I'll like Skype in and still have my team there. Right. And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, that's great. But, you know, timeline wise, I'm coming back from Florida kind of in the middle of the week. Like, I don't have much time to do this. And then they hit me with, oh, by the way, there's two other people, Ollie from Broadsword Gaming and Benji from Benji's Hobbies. And we're all doing this. And I need you to make 2 kill teams identical and send one out to Ollie because he's going to have another board over where he lives in England. And we're going to do this whole like campaign. And so I painted up, right when we got back, I painted up a couple of Death Guard kill teams. And I used some of the old pewter not poxwalkers, but plague bearers, old pewter plague bearers as proxies for poxwalkers. And they look, I'm so happy with the way they look. They look so good. So I'm pretty excited about that. Because it's gonna be fun, and I got my first game in and won with the same kill team that I'm sending, and it was good. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. So knocked out my first game of kill team with the Death Guard, and I totally destroyed. It was good. Like one shot the Necron leader, you know. Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
It was good. I had a lot of fun. Yeah. The gripe that I have though is the measurement tool. They basically relegated it to an actual on the sprue piece of plastic that is like a measuring stick. It's not a floppy stick. You know, the blue floppy sticks, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the red floppy sticks, I remember.
We should call them whippy sticks. That's what the proper term.
Yeah.
But
floppy
stick. It's stupid. Like floppy disks. Come on, man. Come on. No, whippy sticks. We're not in that era anymore. We've come past this. No, they're hard pieces of like combat gauge plastic, and it doesn't have like 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inches or anything. It had shapes, and it was like this character has 3 circles. That's how it moves. What the hell is 3 circles, GW? Oh, it's like 9 inches. You couldn't just say that. So, yeah, a little bit disappointed with the changes that they've made in the measurement because it essentially says, no, you can't use a measuring tape because we don't want you to bend the measuring tape to go around a corner. That's literally the reason. So they want you to move in straight lines. Like, this game makes sense, but it would have made more sense if they just put it in a grid. Because that's how they're trying to manage movement.
I was vaguely aware of this whole thing. I decided to sit this one out. I'm not going to worry about the shapes on the measuring sticks and kill team. I'm not going to concern myself with it.
I could make a video, my friend, about the shapes.
No.
I'm not gonna.
You're going to have to let this one go. You just savor your victory.
Yes.
Wait till next edition.
Oh, my God.
Or savor your victory and then write in the conversions to inches on top of all of your character sheets. Yeah.
It's kind of what I want to do. In fact, I'm hoping that like Battle Scribe, because it's already independent, will just do that for me at some point. There needs to be a petition for whoever makes Battle Scribe to it's probably GW in some weird sense, but update it to just change the stupid movement to just inches. Like, give me the inches back because we're already used to that. And it's not different. They just didn't call it that. Or like another weird thing is they had objectives. Well, they have objective markers that come with the game labeled 1 through 6, except in the book it goes, this is objective A, B, C, or D. And they don't give you markers for that. It's like, which is it? Pick one. Pick the system you're going with. Is it shapes or numbers? Is it letters or numbers? Like, what is it?
Well, you won your first game, and that's pretty cool, Casey. You got to feel good about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do, actually.
Just the happy thoughts, man. Think of you happy thoughts.
Yeah, I'm going off a little bit, but it actually was pretty fun. I was surprised. It felt way more fast-paced, and there's a lot more back and forth. Like, there's no downtime, I guess, which is like kind of the goal that they've been having lately for a lot of their games. It's like you're going to want to be doing something at all times. So it's more like, all right, I'm going to pick what I'm going to do here and here, and then I'm going to go for it, and then you alternate. And it feels like something is happening all the time. Combat is happening all the time. So it felt very much like more like lively and frenetic like combat probably would feel. So, props to him for making a pretty fun game. The shapes pissed me off. That's all.
Okay. Hey, all right.
I want
Win
my whip
some,
stick.
you lose some. Yeah.
Can't beat your opponent with a, combat gauge. And of course, you remember how I was telling you when I was pre-ordering it, I was like, oh, well, I could pre-order on eBay and save $10. But if I pre-order on GW, the shipping's a little bit more, whatever, but I get this combat gauge. It's free. The upgrade or whatever, this special edition thing. Not worth it. No, it's just a metal version of the plastic one you get in the box. That's all.
Let it go. Let it go.
Won't hold it back anymore.
Okay.
Oh, that joke just hit like 1% of our audience. I'm sorry.
It went right by me too.
I know, and it's fine.
Let me switch topics here. This is not closing a circle. This is continuing to open up a whole new world. But I'm still thinking about historicals.
Just slap that 1% again. Just saying.
I've just got a couple of minor updates here. One, the audiobooks I've been listening to recently are the Horatio Hornblower series. So this is a series of books about essentially the Napoleonic Wars on the oceans. So it's got it's got a lot of similarities to like the Aubrey Maturin series. So it's adventure series about a naval officer of the British fleet in like 1800. Yeah. And
Sweet.
Man, I someday, just thinking about those ships sailing around and getting good at tacking up winds, and they got their main sheets, and they got their top gallants, and they got their guns and their 9-pounders. Their can't. Someday.
I mean,
I don't know quite how this is going to land in this hobby, but the seed is planted, it's growing. I'm listening to all this stuff as I'm doing other hobby. Ooh-wee. So we're going to let that one ride. We don't need to dwell on this, but I guess the last thing I'll say is for any of these books that are about sailing ships from the 1800s, if you were to sit down and read this novel and have to go through all the stuff about mainstays and top gallants and like all of the terminology for the names of like 100 different sails and ropes and winches
and knots.
Like there's some books where if you were sitting down there with like trying to make your eyes go across those words, you wouldn't make it 2 pages in. No. Your brain would shut off and you'd fall asleep.
Yeah.
But audiobooks, man, that narrator just keeps it going.
You don't have a choice
for a little while, and then you're back to plot points. Yeah, good.
That's a good point. Like audiobooks are definitely good for spacing out. I mean, there is an actual like percentage rate, right, of what you're retaining and actually listening to, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the actual.
Well, I don't know what it is.
You do or you don't?
No, I have no idea.
Oh, that's weird. I thought you just said you did.
Well, I understand that. Yeah, of course you're not retaining everything, but there's some books where you can kind of like, yeah, you lose track of what's going on for 30 seconds. You're up to something else. Like, yeah, you check the mail. You're reading your mail. A minute has gone by.
Yeah, and you don't even realize
they're still sailing around the Mediterranean. And you're like, okay, we're back on topic here. Yeah,
right.
I don't think I missed anything.
No, which is why The Expanse is such a good show.
Yeah. There's definitely a few books where things happen fast enough that you cannot do them in audiobook form, or I found at least. There's a series called the Black Company series, and it's kind of recorded by almost like in a journal format. And so like in between paragraphs, it will be like, our company left this continent, went to a new continent.
Oh no!
We fought in 2 battles, and we met our new employer. And then, like, if you read the mail for 20 seconds, you are like,
you're in a different
2
country.
Years have elapsed,
4 of your team have
like
died.
7 main characters have died. Yeah,
that sounds terrible. I don't think I can handle that.
When I was first discovering audiobooks, I was, trying a bunch of different fantasy series, and I tried this, the Black Company series, and I was just like, what is going on? Like, constantly lost. But
yeah.
So that's actually one I've been reading on my Kindle, because it's like, I was actually reading that in jury duty when they were finally like, hey, you can go on home. So
there you go.
Man, we're tying everything back together. But
it's funny. I think I was listening to the Dark Tower series when I was in jury duty. Like, pretty sure. You? I'm pretty sure that was what was going on.
Perfect. I love it. Yeah. So good.
We need a book club.
Hey, we like audiobooks. We
an audio
consume media while we're getting hobby done.
That's exactly the thing. I mean, when you think about it, that's not a bad sub place to go, right? It's like, well, I mean, besides listening to this podcast, is that too meta?
This is only like 2, 3, 4 hours every 2 weeks, so
it's a good point.
You got to have something else for the rest of the time.
Yeah, well, it would have been an extra 2.5 hours, but somebody ruined that. So
easy. Let it go. All right, I'm gonna keep things moving along. I'm still thinking about historicals. I went to my game store today, and they were playing a big game of Bolt Action.
Ooh!
So this is a World War II setting. And I was talking before how I don't really know how I feel about infantry World War II games. Just makes me feel a little bit weird still. But they were playing it was like 8 people versus 8 people, and it was all tank battles. It was just a giant, 10, 12-foot board of just tanks on each side.
Oh man!
And it looked really cool. Yeah. So,
I mean, to be honest, Bolt Action is very appealing for a lot of reasons. It looks cool. Mm-hmm. The models look pretty legit. I like the scale. It's still feels kind of cartoony, even though it's not. Because it can look very realistic.
Infantry characters, especially, they're kind of heroic scale World War II, if that makes sense. Or that's the way they feel to me. I'm not sure if that's technically correct. But
I honestly prefer that thinking, not to take away from the bad things that happened, but it's almost comforting to think of it in that kind of light, right? Of the heroic things that they did, that people had to do, even in light of all the terrible things that happened. And I get how that can definitely be an issue if you're wanting to play and you're playing infantry and it's I'm here's my grandfather that I'm pushing around on a table, right? It feels weird, but the cartoony nature I think helps a little bit. And I've seen some fun board setups and tank looking battles like you're talking about, and I have some figures, I have some. I haven't painted them, but it's on the table, so to speak.
Yeah, this is inching closer towards something that I actually pick up and do one of these days.
Yeah.
And just wanted to let you all know, That it's seeping in. I'm getting the hankering to do some weathering on tanks. Like just get a nice Sherman tank.
Yeah.
Do some panel lining.
Maybe
a bit of streaking grime.
Yeah. Maybe a Tiger tank.
Well, I mean, maybe. That's on the other side of things. Like, look, you're asking me to get into historicals and start playing for the Nazis immediately?
That's not what I'm asking.
One step at a time, Casey.
No, I'm literally suggesting that you own a Tiger tank right now.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Casey, in other news, 2 days ago, I assembled a cartoonish Tiger 1 tank from the World War Toons line of minis, of models. Look, gonna have to level with you here. When Casey and I were hanging out with Danny, we went to a Hobby Lobby. We were telling Danny, like, look, you need inks. You specifically need white ink to do some zenithal highlighting with your airbrush. We got to go to a Michael's. It's like, I don't got a Michael's around here. We got Hobby Lobby. I'm like, all right, mask up and we'll go into Hobby Lobby. Like, you double mask it and you go into Hobby Lobby, okay? Like, yeah. And so we're in there, and I think Danny got a serious shopping cart. I did not look at his total when he checked out, but he
bought a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he was.
We're like, you're gonna need these bottles.
To do,
you gotta buy all these inks. Although interestingly, so Hobby Lobby, while they do carry a variety of inks, most of them are alcohol based, like Speedball inks or whatever. They don't carry Dollar Rounty. They don't carry Liquitex. They carry a brand called Amsterdam. I was a little bit skeptical at first, but honestly, the white ink from Amsterdam works pretty good. Like, as good as Liquitex, it would seem.
You know, I think this was actually our hot tip in our lost episode. Amsterdam white ink, pretty good.
Yeah. It's a huge hot tip.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if that's your option,
so thank you all for listening this far. If you are unable to find Liquitex acrylic ink titanium white, Amsterdam white ink, not bad. You can get a nice looking smooth zenithal highlight with that, shooting it out of an airbrush, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, and it was Danny's first time, and it looked smooth and good. So that says a lot, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So that's worth it.
Danny was filling up with inks. You know, Casey and I are bumming around Hobby Lobby and, you know,
in the model section,
looking for cool stuff that we don't normally see. And in the model aisle, like the model cars and model warships, a whole different thing. But we found World War Toons, which are kind of like chibi versions of tanks, if that makes sense. Like super stylized, cartoony versions of actual World War II tanks.
Yes. I don't understand the purpose.
They were on pretty good sale. Like what did you pay for each of those kits?
I paid $7 for each tank. I bought 3.
Wow.
Yeah. Normally, but the thing is, like, normally they're only 14. So even then, I would have felt all right.
Yeah, no, I did find them on Michigan Toy Soldier. So I recently bought some enamels and stuff from Michigan Toy Soldier. I'm sure that'll be a future episode.
Well, yeah, I look forward to that.
But I did look around to see if they had any Meng World War Toons tanks. Yeah. And they did, but they're $22 each on there. Oh. And that's like, well, no, I've been looking around and that seems pretty typical. Like online, these cartoony tanks are $22.
Interesting.
But at Hobby Lobby, they're $7 or $8.
Well, it was 50% off the whole aisle, like all of the modeling supplies and models. So all of the models in there were half off, basically. Wow. But none of them were worth buying except for those, because they're essentially grot tanks. Like they are orc tanks in a nutshell.
Yeah, they are very close in size to like a rhino or something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
They're like a chibi Tiger tank or a chibi Sherman tank, and they are very much on the scale of a Rhino.
Yeah.
Like there's a hatch in the top of the turret, and the size of that hatch is very much the same size as the hatch of a Rhino.
Yes.
And so the orky conversions that are possible with that line of tanks, which is why we're so interested in it, which is why like we cared at all and bought 3 of them.
Exactly.
And then you could only fit 2 into your carry-on, and so you gave 1 to me. Thank you very much. I had fun putting it together.
It's not a bad kit to put together, right? Like, it wasn't horrible.
Not at all.
Yeah, that's very surprising.
No.
Yeah. So we built weirdo tanks.
Yeah, I forgot that was a Nazi tank, but it was like a really cartoony Nazi tank, and
exactly.
It's gonna be an orky tank anyway. So
exactly, looted. So, it's looted for sure. Yeah,
for sure. So I'm not going full on Tiger tank with bolt action yet.
No,
I haven't even picked up Americans for bolt action. Don't rush me into playing Germany quite yet.
I've got the Christmas truce pack.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I don't know what that is.
You know what that is? I think it's I'm gonna say this wrong, I'm sure. It was in Band of Brothers. So it was part of that. And it's in all sorts of historical things, but it's I think the Battle of the Bulge. I think. Pretty sure. Somebody will correct me, I am sure. It's fine. You can actually me all day because it's better if people know the actual thing. But
Battle
what happened
of the Bulge was in Band of Brothers, so that is a solid possibility.
Right, it's one of those. But the idea was that they were fighting, and it was Christmas. And basically there was like a weird truce called. Everybody came out, they shared wine and food and all these things, and they walked back home. Nobody died. The fighting resumed the next day. But it was a weird, just rando truce for 24 hours, like on Christmas. It's kind of cool to see humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have some of those. I like that.
And that's a line from Bolt Action, the Christmas truce.
It's like a set
pack.
of models, yeah. Like a three or 4 or 5. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
See, look, Casey and I are getting real into historicals. We're starting slow with our cartoon versions of Tiger tanks.
Cartoon Tiger tanks.
But you can see that this snowball is picking up speed as it's rolling down the hill here. And it's going to be a full-on historical podcast by around episode like 79.
Yeah, Brent's going to be all the Napoleonic like ocean liners.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there will be no casual mistakes about the history of the Battle of the Bulge made by episode 79 of this podcast.
We promise you that, listener.
Yeah, that's a solemn oath.
Solemn. Yeah. I mean, maybe someday we'll finish some Warhammer armies too.
Yeah.
Get one under your belt. I don't even know what a bolt action army looks like. Like how many... I don't know. Like, what does that even look like?
So apparently, it's kind of like a platoon plus a tank or 2, something like that. So,
that doesn't sound too bad. How big's a platoon?
Maybe like 3 squads of guys and a tank and an artillery piece or something like that. I don't know. Somewhere in that range. It seems reasonable.
Yeah,
if you want to be painting squads, I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll let you know as we learn more, which we will.
Yeah, we will.
Huh. I got one more little thing. You got any more things, Casey?
I mean, I got a real big thing, but I don't know if I want to talk about that right now. It's possible name change to the channel.
Ah.
Yeah. Like rebranding from the everything. Top down, all of it. Yeah.
Clown Shoes Miniature Rescues.
Clown Shoes. Is that because I get offended so easily?
I don't know. Clown Shoes is a funny name.
That would be funny. Nope. No, I don't know if I want to talk about that, but
let your graphic designer know that they need to change everything to revolve around the phrase clown shoes. Yeah.
You know, it's okay. So like I've mentioned before, my wife and I both went to school for graphic design. She does that now full time for a living. So obviously she'd be the one doing it. But in her family, there was always this thing that her mom used to say of like, oh, you got your clown shoes on, like when people would get offended, because her reasoning was like, well, because your shoes are so big that everybody steps on them, you know, and so you get upset.
Oh, yeah, that is not the meaning that most people use.
No.
You're ridiculous. You're a laughing stock, not
right.
Not you're angry.
No, but it's just been this like ongoing thing with her mom, and she still says it sometimes. And it's like, nope. Okay. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. So you said that. I'm just like, huh. Like, even if I respond the way I want to respond, nobody's going to get what I'm talking about. So I had to iterate on that. It's fine. But no, I don't know. I've been thinking about it for a long time. And there's a couple ways to go. Either it's a full top-down rebrand, everything about the channel, except, you know, nothing actually changes. Or I just drop the eBay in the name. It's one or the other.
Vote down below, listeners. Vote down below.
Miniature Rescues.
Welcome to Clown Shoes. My name is Casey.
I mean, today, that's a lot. Like people probably get behind that. I got merch with clown shoes on it.
Miniatures.
Yeah. I mean, not that I hate clowns, but I don't see the point of them. I guess I don't. I'm not fond of them.
I don't know if anybody ever liked them. Yeah.
I mean, clown
people. I thought they were
like
at first when I was young. I thought like, okay, I don't like these, but I guess they're a carryover from when boomers thought they were funny, or the silent generation thought they were funny. I mean, or the greatest generation thought nobody ever thought they were funny. That's the thing.
No. Like, even people who like
they were always sad embarrassments. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sad clowns on the other hand can be funny when they're really sad. That's a whole.
The only funny clown is a sad clown.
Yeah,
because the only good clown is a sad clown.
Yeah, exactly. It crosses that line into like, I can't be sad with you, but I can laugh at you. I don't know how to I don't know. It's just it hits a deep, like a lizard brain kind of thing. I don't know. Like you just have to laugh. Yeah, like Krusty on The Simpsons did some of that.
Yeah.
Like send in the clowns.
Listeners, please go to Google and type "Why are clowns?" and just see what the autofill is. Like, why are clowns? I
mean, that question in itself could be the title of this episode.
Why are clowns?
Yeah. Why are clowns ? At all.
Yeah, well.
I ordered Rain in Hell. It's coming in the mail. I was thinking about making a sad clown army, calling them demons. That seems...
Dude, that would be incredible, actually. No.
That's not a bad idea.
I'm sure
I actually had
an actual plan for what you were going to do with Rain in Hell, but if you showed up to a Rain in Hell convention, model-agnostic game about demons fighting each other for control of hell, and your cabal of hell demons was just a whole bunch of clowns...
Mm-hmm. That settles that.
Style points for sure. I mean, that's the beauty of model agnostic games. You just let your creativity and your unbridled hatred for clowns come out. And
they might as well be demons, honestly. They do nothing for anyone. They're no good.
No good.
Yeah.
No good. Oh. Well.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to do one more teaser here.
Okay, one more teaser.
Right. I did something today that I cannot remember the last time I did. I read a rule book for a game today, and I enjoyed it. And I was like actually like reading the game mechanics, and I was thinking about them. I was like, wow, this is cool. I want to know more. Tell me more rule book. And this is for Relic Blade. So, I got some Relic Blade stuff in the mail today, and I dug into it, and I was actually really excited about it. So this is a small kind of skirmish game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still learning about it, obviously, but it's like kind of like 4 or 5 minis, first 4 or 5 minis, And the rule system for the way activations work and how you choose what you're doing on your activation with an individual mini seem pretty cool. And the models are beautiful. And the art in the rule book is really nice. And again, just a hint of things to come.
Yeah. Isn't that also a model agnostic game, though? Or I know they have their own line.
I don't think so. They definitely have models for each of their characters.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I thought it was for some reason. But
I think you can buy the character cards, like the rule cards, separately. And so I guess if you wanted to have a different model for your pig warrior, you could.
Oh, wow. That's no good.
But why would you?
Yeah. Why would you? Yeah. That's good. I would never do that. Huh.
So look, we're gonna look more into that, but that could be big. It could be big for us. Relic Blade.
Yes. I think so. I've heard about that game a lot. Like, it's been around. They were at LVO, I think, doing some demos. Somebody was. They've been around. So yeah, looking forward to what you do with that.
Yeah. So the way I got exposed to it first was the Twitch streamer Malev Flow Shinobi. He's a Twitch streamer I enjoy. In addition to painting, colorful and really fun looking minis, and he does like the box art for all of the Relic Blade stuff. So he's kind of the studio artist for that. And so a lot of times what he's doing on his Twitch stream is just doing box art for Relic Blade, essentially.
Yeah.
And all of his stuff looks really good. He's a very talented painter. And the other thing that he's kind of famous for is he'll just sit there and like freestyle as he's painting. And kind of greets everybody new to his stream with a little bit of freestyle. And really good guy. Really enjoy hanging out on that Twitch stream. And now I'm starting to understand why he's so excited about these minis. So
nice.
We'll see. That again, taste of something to come.
Cool. Well, do we have anything else for this particular episode?
I don't know. I have to ask Danny. Go buy the Lost Adventures Kickstarter. We actually had, I'm trying to think, we had a good segment on painting FDM prints. Like a lot of it, we were talking about FDM prints versus resin prints. We're going to have to think about that topic, and we'll get back to you on that one.
Yeah.
But it turned out the airbrush was pretty good at painting FDM prints, which are, the not the high detail resin, but they're like the what do you want to call it? Filament. That's the word.
Yeah,
the filament printers that have the more pronounced layer lines on the finished prints. And so, for that kind of stuff, like dry brushing doesn't work as well because it picks up the layer lines. Washes don't work as well because it picks up the layer lines. But like an airbrush and kind of making a lot of your work done with the airbrush works really well on FDM prints. And so we got some really nice looking terrain where, you can see that there's layer lines in the prints, but really doesn't look that bad.
I know we were both very surprised, honestly, by the way that FDM looked in general. Like, oh, that's why you get one of these printers. Because, I literally have never wanted one before. Like, ever. Right. I've turned one down from Anycubic because I'm like, I'm not going to use this. Like, don't send me this garbage. Right. And now I'm like, I kind of should have said yes. Like, all this terrain and possibilities. Next time. That's fine. I mean, there's a lot. We talked about printing, a lot of printing, like D&D stuff. Like
makes sense. Makes sense.
I don't know if we can. At some point, we should probably recap our D&D one shot that we did, because that would be fun.
You talked about it a little bit in that one YouTube video, but. Danny ran the one shot for us where Casey and I were brothers. We were halfling acrobats from the circus.
Yep.
We were doing some favors for a group of kobolds. Casey ended up committing like a little bit of murder during the adventure.
Smidge of murder.
Yeah. So that wasn't great, but it was a lot of fun. Like, yeah.
It was
a
lot
lot
of
of fun with that.
Yeah.
And in general, I'm trying to do more RPGs. So
yes,
that's good.
Yeah, which I'm hoping to also sometime get into more of because it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you've been,
that's all we got for today, Casey.
Yeah, if you're out there, you've been thinking about joining a D&D game or Pathfinder, something fun, maybe check out the old Game 4 app and see what's around your neighborhood. And on that note, thank you again for joining us in another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
We appreciate you. Talk to you next time.